Hey, what's up? I'm Allie and welcome back to my channel. I am coming to you from my plant room today because my library currently has a leak and it's a really loud leak, but you're going to hear the cars probably here because it's pretty busy today apparently. I don't know, cars just driving by left and right, who knows. So I also like to spend some time, just hanging out in here. It's a beautiful, beautiful room. There's so many plants. So, in case you were wondering what my other obsession is besides books, it's this. I am going to be doing my December wrap-up. I'm just going to talk about some of the books that I read in December. I have already talked about a good many of these in the holiday reading vlog that I did, but if you're just looking for a place to get my concise thoughts and feelings about all the books, this is the place. What can I say? I will have timestamps listed down below for all of the books that I will be talking about, so if there's a specific title that you are looking for my thoughts and feelings about, you can just jump there. Just go ahead. The first book that I ended up reading for the month was The Holiday Swap, and this is obviously a holiday story, but this is about two sisters. They're twins, and one of them lives like in LA. She's on this fancy show, this cooking show, and she ends up getting a concussion and her job is on the line. She asks her twin sister to swap with her, and it ends up working out great because her twin sister is currently trying to break up with her long-term boyfriend, and he's just like he's not taking it. He's just not listening to her. He's like, no, we're still together. And she's like, that's not what I said. And he's like, no, but we are. Like, we're gonna get married. And she's just like, so she needs to escape. And her other sister is known to be a bit more blunt about things. So they're gonna swap places. The problem is neither of them expect to fall in love when they have swapped places. And also it's much harder to swap places than you think. They originally planned that it's going to be like a week long, and then all kinds of mischief and mayhem occurs, and all that good stuff. This is a really cozy read, to be honest. It's really fun. It does fly by. Even though like I feel like this trope is done a lot, I still felt like this was fun and original and kept me interested in what was going to happen, especially because I was like, all right, I want to see them live each other's lives, because I know that they know enough about each other, but like, how are they gonna pull this off? And then all the antics that occur along with it and how they just pull everything together, I thought was really fun. I also enjoyed the love interest and the chemistry that they have. The end of it just kind of drags. Like we've already kind of concluded things, and then it just drags on and on and on. An epilogue that I hate in romance books that is just very cliche. I don't ever like it. Maybe it's because whenever it's like 1 year later, I don't picture any of those things happening within a year's span, but also I move pretty slowly through life, so there is that. Overall, this was an enjoyable read. It did what it set out to do, and that was just entertain. This isn't like the greatest work of art, and it doesn't claim to do that, so I thought it was really fun. I gave it 3 stars. Next holiday read that I had was Secret Santa, and if you watch my vlog, you'll know that this was the winner of the holiday books. And of course, it's the horror. I was like, oh, the romances were fun, but the horror really got me. This also, just a really good time. This is about a woman who, she basically loses her job. She's trying to become the next big thing in like the publishing industry. She's looking for the next Stephen King. She's all about the horror. This does take place in the 80s as well, so that's right when like horror was really spiking and whatnot. So she's trying to find the next Stephen King. She ends up going to interview at this job, and basically the guy is just like, no, like I've already picked someone and it's not you. And she ends up like reprimanding him there, and then he dies in front of her. She's like, so then she wiggles her way into the position anyway, because no one knows that she didn't get the job. So she kind of just is like, well, I got it. So then this workplace is really weird. It's gloomy. Everyone there is kind of suspicious. And then they have a Secret Santa, and she's like, oh, well, I don't really know anyone. There shouldn't be a gift, but there is a gift. And it's this really creepy doll. And she's seen this creepy doll before. And then weird shit starts to happen, and it's like, is it connected to the creepy doll, or is it just like really weird luck? Is it just these people in this building? Are they weird? Like things like that. So it's a fairly short read. It goes by pretty quickly. It's pretty action-packed. Like, everything starts happening right off the bat, and it's pretty continuous. After that, there's some pretty creepy scenes in here. There's like a creepy basement type area and stuff. So I thought that part was interesting. We also get some snippets into like the history behind this doll and things like that, and the different dynamics of the people in the publishing the house that they're in. So it was a good time. It was really fun. Was it like super scary? No, but it was kind of campy in a way, and that's kind of what I figured was going to happen. I didn't expect not camp from this. I love this cover. Amazing, beautiful, lovely. I love this cover. This was a really good time. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Again, it was just really enjoyable. I liked what it set out to do, and that was it. Then I had the Holiday Switch. I read 2 books with basically the same title. But this is a YA romance, and this is about a girl who kind of works in like this small town store, and they're kind of known for this like book that got turned into a movie, and everyone comes during the winter time and Christmas time to experience it's like a Hallmark type movie type thing. So people come to experience the town that all this stuff happened in, and they're gearing up. There's going to be a big celebration, and I think like some famous people are coming into town and all this other stuff. So like she's like all about this. She also has a blog that she runs anonymously, and no one can know about it because her family is really weird about her being on the internet, and she's not even allowed to like use her computer most of the time. There's a reasoning behind it. It's a little flimsy, but okay. So then the shop owner's nephew comes into town, and he's going to work with her during this crazy hectic season. They butt heads immediately. They are just not getting along, and obviously, you know, this is, I believe, supposed to be a little bit of like dislike to love type situation. It's just all very weird. Like, he's keeping a secret, blah, blah, blah. The whole premise is that they swap phones. They accidentally switch phones, and that's how they learn each other's secrets, but that happens immediately, and the rest of the story doesn't even revolve around that. Like, it's just so bizarre. So, I felt like their secrets were pretty silly secrets, to be honest. I didn't really understand. I thought that the overall buildup of the actual story was pretty flimsy. A lot of things were just kind of like thrown in there for, I feel like, convenience and just making it easy to work with, and the chemistry was pretty forced, and I just didn't have a good time with this. I just had a really hard time believing any aspect of it, so it just made the story feel like it was dragging out. I didn't really care what was going to happen. I mean, I knew what was going to happen, but I didn't really care. I wasn't invested in this romance playing out, and I just didn't believe it. It didn't really make sense to me. I just kept like rolling my eyes, basically. It wasn't like necessarily poorly written. I just felt like the overall story was just built on a pretty flimsy structure to begin with. So I ended up giving this a 2.5. I was just kind of like trying to get through it at that point. I had read so much that I was just like, I'm just gonna finish it. I just want it done for this video. So it was okay. Honestly, I would just say skip it. It wasn't that great. The last of the holiday books was Window Shopping, and this was a little more on the spicy side, and this is about a woman who has recently gotten out of prison, and she's kind of like trying to get back on her feet. She is looking into like the storefront window at the Christmas time, and this guy comes up to her, and he's like, what do you think about this window display? And she just like gives it to him. She's like, you know what, no nonsense, don't give a shit, I'm just gonna tell him how I feel. Well, he actually, like, runs the store, and he wants her to apply for the holidays to be, like, their window dresser and designer. And, of course, that's going to be an issue with the board and whatnot because she is a felon. This deals a little bit with like how she got into prison, which I thought was incredibly fascinating. Like, I could have the whole story about that. And I felt like we really could have gone somewhere with that, and like second chances and, you know, like just trying to get back on your feet and how hard it is after that. But I do think the overall issue kind of gets swept under the rug at some point, and just like we lose the focus there. And I wish that we could have had more with that. The overall issue really gets like pared down a lot, big time. Like, we have this really fascinating issue, and then it like just gets diminished so small. It just becomes like such an unimportant part of the plot, which is weird because that's like what the whole basis of it is built on. Obviously, the main attraction here is the romance. This is, you know, they have this tension between the two of them. He has this very like country twang. He apparently has a badonkadonk. They just will not stop talking about this man's ass. Interesting, because I feel like that is not a love interest that I've read a lot about. They all tend to seem the same to me, and then this one was very different. So I enjoyed that. I thought that was fun, and for the most part, it was a good time. I thought the romantic scenes were written quite well. I really liked the tension between them. I thought that it was built up pretty well. I thought it was believable. I enjoyed it. It was a breeze to get through, because I was just like, what's gonna happen next? Okay, let's go. So I did feel like the ending was just like, it just kind of dragged a little bit, as with, it seemed like all of these, for whatever reason, like, okay, we've got a conclusion, we know what's going on, and then it just kind of drags a little bit more. So it was fine. I did enjoy this. I gave it a 3.5. It's probably not something that I would ever consider revisiting, or something that I will probably remember within a month's time. So, and then these last two books that I have are part of series. One is a sequel, and one is the first in a series. And as you can see, I had... Can you not? As you can see, I had quite a good time with these. So the one was my highly anticipated read, and that was Kingdom of the Cursed. I did a whole annotation video. I'm not talking in that video, but if you just wanted to see a glimpse of kind of like my annotation process of what went into this, you can see that there. I am waiting on my Fairy Loot edition to come, but I bought this so I could specifically annotate it, because I'm not going to mark up my Fairy Loot edition. But yeah, so this is the sequel. Kingdom of the Wicked was one of my favorite books last year. This is a YA, although I do believe this one is more new adult book, and this is about a girl. Her twin sister is murdered, and she ends up enlisting the help of what she believes is just a demon to come help her figure out who murdered her sister. Because the thing is, her and her sister and her family are witches, and someone is hunting down the witches in her town and killing them and ripping out their hearts. So she wants to get to the bottom of it. Little does she know, she has actually summoned a prince from hell. So hell is ruled by the 7 deadly sins, and Wrath is the one who is summoned by her. So the first events obviously are, they end up pairing up because he also has a reason that we don't know for wanting to find the killer himself. So it's a little bit of like, why is a prince of hell? Why is he involved in this? And like, how did that happen? And why does he need answers as well? And then also her kind of in this secret, like, underground magical world type thing, trying to figure out what happened to her sister and dealing with a lot of the other princes of hell as well. Heard she's always been warned not to, but here she is, you know, playing with fire, so to say. So I really enjoyed the first one. It is a hate to lust type romance, and you just can't help but be really into, you know, Prince Wrath, okay? Okay. I really enjoyed the first one. I really enjoyed their chemistry. I will say the romance, obviously, is kind of the forefront of this. The plot isn't as important as the romance, I feel, but I was highly anticipating this since the first one leaves off on quite the cliffhanger. So here we are. This one, you know, obviously follows the events. I don't know, I feel like I can't tell you anything because I don't want to spoil anything. But I do feel this one was just as addictive as the first one. There's something about this writing style. It's really easy to devour. It's really easy to get swept up in this world. It's a pretty simple world overall. Like, we kind of know it takes place in like mansions and castles, and there's a little bit of magic, but other than that, there's not a whole lot going on. I like this one because there is a bit more of a puzzle aspect. We're trying to figure out like what these like code phrases and stuff mean, and I love those in books. I love seeing where the author is going with those, so those are always some of my favorites to see, like little riddles and whatnot. So I also just love the tension between the characters because they are just like trying so hard to hate each other. And they're failing at it. They are failing at it. And the steam levels were good. They were good. I was here for it. I enjoyed it. It was believable. I liked it. So, the tension. I'm just such a sucker for good tension. I will say I don't think I enjoyed this quite as much as the first one. I don't know what it was. I think I just needed a little more, I don't know, like action or mystery, because I kind of knew where it was headed at every given point. The plot twist, I had already guessed. It didn't make it any less necessarily enjoyable because then I was just excited to get to those parts. But I did kind of guess where this was going, so it made the rest of the story just not feel as exciting as it probably should have. But that doesn't mean that other people might not see it coming, and it could be a fantastic plot twist for them. So I am very interested because, again, this one leaves off on quite the cliffhanger, so I can't wait for the next one. I did end up giving this a 4.5. Really enjoyed it. Cannot wait to continue the series. It is just such a good time. This is a fun time. This is the definition of a fun time, okay? Then the very last one, another fun time. Oh my god, I just love tension and romance, and this one has fae, so I was like, sign me the hell up. This is These Hollow Vows. I had such a good time reading this. I read this for my 12-hour reading sprints, and then after my 12-hour reading sprints, because I didn't finish this in my 12-hour reading sprints, I stayed up till 4 a.m. to finish this. That's how addicted I was to this story. Oh, it was so fun. First of all, we got like a little bit of a love triangle situation going on, and I'm here for it. And y'all know I'm already gonna root for like the bad guy every time. We got a love triangle with the bad guy. I'm rooting for the bad guy. I don't know. Is this my character flaw? That I'm always rooting for the bad guy? Am I the drama? This is a world, there is magic in this world, there are fae in this world, and the humans kind of been taught that, like, don't mess with the fae. They are like these evil creatures. They use humans for like servants and make them do things, but the human world that she lives in is rough. She basically is paying off a debt that she will never be able to repay to her aunt, and she is stuck in this contract, and she's trying to get out of it. She's like stealing and all this other stuff. She's like known for being a really good thief, and basically her aunt gets sick of them being behind on payments and decides to sell her sister to the fae. Not just any fae though, she is being sold as a bride for the Unseelie King. So our main character, who hates the fae, now has to go into the fae world and figure out how to get her sister back. So she ends up making a deal with the Unseelie King, but in order to do that, part of this thing is that she has to basically seduce the prince of the Seelie court. Okay, so while all that's going on, she's also been approached by an Unseelie rogue, and he, you know, isn't as bad as she thought he was, but the prince is also not as bad as she thought he was. And it's just a really difficult decision to figure out who we're going to like. And let me tell you, I knew where this was going every step of the way. I predicted everything. I knew where it was going. It didn't matter. It was still fantastic to get to those points. I had such a fun time. It didn't take away from the story. I know I've seen a lot of reviews that are like, oh, this is so tropey, it's nothing new kind of deal, but it's like, this was like a comfort read for me. Like, I enjoyed this so much. And I've seen a lot of people comparing this. They say that, and even I said the synopsis sounded a bit like a Court of Thorns and Roses. Hey, whoa. Let's not do that in here. Like a Court of Thorns and Roses. However, I never once felt like I was reading a ripoff of that. And I've seen people say that they felt that way, but I never once felt that way. The character descriptions sound like every other male fae description ever. But other than that, I never once really felt that way. It felt like very much its own story. I really had a good time. I loved the world. I loved the descriptions. I like that it didn't necessarily play into all the fae stereotypes and just kind of were like, they have magic. Some of them are evil. They're basically like humans. So I really enjoyed that. How I know a book is good, because it invokes some sort of emotion from me, and let me tell you, I was like screaming at the end of this book. I was so frustrated. I was angry with our main character. Like, I was feeling that. This leaves on a massive cliffhanger. I have requested an arc of the second one because I need to know. I need to know what's going to happen, because I just immediately like wanted to reread this because it was just like, I was just like, this is good. I like the action, and I like the suspense, and I like the romance, and I'm screaming with her. I feel her rage. I feel her emotions right now. Like, I've been in this, probably not this situation, you know, never had to fight over two fae characters before, but like in a situation that she is in, and I felt it. I felt the confusion, and I felt the tug between the two paths in the road. Like, Anyway, I gave this a 4.5. I could probably give it higher, to be honest. Like, I just really enjoyed this. It was a really good time, okay? I feel like that's just everything that I've said today. Everything was just a really good time, you know? Let me know down below which book was your favorite that you read in December. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!